Hi guys, Nikki and Aidan, thank you for joining me for this Train the Trainer session. This session, as you'll be aware, is all about preparing you for one of the most important functions you can have as an Owners Corporation member, and that is to understand everything about Owners Committees of Management, so that you could pass this information on to, hopefully, your future committee members. Importantly, you'll be aware from our previous discussions that I'll be recording this session for training purposes. Can you confirm you're both okay with that?
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Can you also confirm that you've studied the PowerPoint program that I sent through previously?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And always keep in mind that this information forms the basis for your future on training of people. You already have a copy of the MBCM Ballarat training and WHS policy document. Any questions? You're happy with that? You've read through that?
That's pretty good. Yep.
Yeah, all over that.
Okay. So we're just about ready to start. You can see my shared screen okay?
Yep. That's all good.
Right, okay. Now, the reason for this particular training session is that effective committees are of critical importance to a strata manager being able to do their job effectively. The manager can't do everything on their own. And a part of your job in future will be to understand not just the legislation governing owners corporations and their committees, but as owners in an owners corporation each, also the practical issues that are constantly in play. Remember, the job you do as a committee in total is to assist the manager in doing everything they need to do. But remember that the real business we're in is people management. And of course, it's therefore important that some of the other owners in your owners corporations in future will be willing and capable of working with other owners in the owners corporations they live in, so they can help make decisions and thereby assist you and us, in our case, when we're looking for committee members, achieve the very best possible result from our management and your assistance in that management. When we've completed the task, we'll go over the work with you again to check that you fully understand the processes that we've talked about today. You should refer to the PowerPoint presentation, the fuller, bigger version of that PowerPoint presentation in your own time, because that has the legislation and all sorts of stuff in it, in your own time if you need to check any of the processes. And once I've finished this presentation, I'll ask that you practice your learnings in your own time and remember to provide feedback for me. It's really important. You know, this particular topic, it's always a work in progress, and feedback is so important in helping me and my company if you need to check any of the processes and any new issues that may crop up. So let's go through this module, and feel free to interrupt at any time if you have any questions. What's this session all about? Well, as I said, today is all about preparing you for one of the most important functions that you can have as an owners corporation manager or a committee member. And that is to understand everything about owners committees of management. The contents of the session have been condensed, as I said, from an expanded version of this PowerPoint presentation, which you'll be using with your, hopefully, your future owners in the future, so you can refer them to that program as well. You are aware that 1 in 4 Victorians that live in or occupy an owners corporation. Now remember, these are real human beings with all of their foibles, and their owners corporations include residential, commercial, industrial owners corporations. So whilst this means that the job we do is to manage owners corporations, the real business we're in, as I said earlier, is in people management. And that, Nikki and Aidan, can be the really hard part. Your job as trainers will be to introduce your new owners, whether owner-occupiers who live in their units or investors, to their responsibility to assist in managing their investment. The way we do this is to ask them to join their committee of management. They may not have considered this to be very important. If they have, they're likely to have a range of emotions, and you'll strike this all the time. There's a lot of fear and trepidation with some people. Oh, can I do this? It scares them. Your job will be to build their confidence and encourage them to work with you in the future. Ultimately, this will be for their own benefit, because the better an owners corporation or a strata development is managed, the smoother it works, the more harmonious it is, and the greater chance there is of retaining or improving the capital value of those units. So remember that not only do we have owners' properties to protect, we also have a highly respected brand to protect in our company. That's why we have to be so careful about how we go about this process of inviting people to work with us. Part of your job is to understand and pass on the fundamentals and use your knowledge and experience to filter out any owners who you believe just might not be a good fit. Sometimes you'll meet people, and we'll talk about them in a short while, who you think, not having these people on a committee. As part of my career in this profession, I've formed numerous committees over the years. Mostly they work harmoniously. However, I can tell you that every now and again, you come across a really, really difficult individual. And there are types who can cause problems, and you need to look out for them. And if you do spot one, either on your committee or any future committee that you form, you just need to be really careful of them. And let's have a look at some of these types of people. You've got the born leader, those sort of people. You've got the dominator, the person who thinks that, they should be in charge. You've got the bullies who just decide that they're going to get their way no matter what, even though, by the way, owners corporations are democracies. You'll find the world's greatest living authority on everything, the know-all. You'll find the little mouse who says nothing and does nothing. You think they might over time, but they never do. You've got the talker who never shuts up. You've got the nervous Nelly who never wants to commit to any action. And you've also got the fault finder with every decision and every person. Tell me, have you struck any of those in your life?
Definitely. Yeah.
Look, there are lots of different types, and your job is to be able to work with and manage all these different types of people. And it can be really, really difficult. So before we start, can you give me an idea of your prior experience? Nikki, you've told me that you are an owner in an owners corporation.
Yes. Yep.
You've worked on a committee. You've had experience before.
I have, but it wasn't exactly up to par. It was basically me showing up, and the strata manager wasn't very into it. I can say either.
Involved.
Yeah.
Okay. So it didn't work very well.
No.
Okay.
It took ages for decisions to get done.
Okay. Aidan, have you had any experience with owners corporations and committees?
Tried to form a committee, but never really came to anything.
Okay. Yeah, probably because you've got a number of those people we just talked about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So look, let's begin. So the purpose of this module is designed to assist you and us when we explain to committees, understand the legal and ethical issues confronting owners corporation committees, the requirements and responsibility that owners have. And these are volunteers, by the way. They can't be paid. Volunteers who join their owners corporation committee. Then to deliver a successful education and information session to those owners. So hopefully what you'll learn in this session is sufficient information for you to be able to confidently go out and talk to these owners about joining your or other committees. And finally, to provide a forum for those owners to ask questions or obtain further information about their role as a committee member. They're always welcome to call me or our company, and people do from time to time, just to check on things, legal issues or whatever. We're always more than happy to answer the phone and talk to people about what they need to do. An owners corporation is effectively a group of lot owners who act as the elected representatives of the property owners. So you might have an owners corporation of 3 that really only, it's easy to talk with the owners, but you might have an owners corporation. We have many of them, 10 lots above, and a 10 lotter is required under the legislation to form a committee. We have properties up to 150 lots, and sometimes forming even a small committee can be very, very difficult, but because people are daunted, they get terrified when they see that they're confronted by all of these owners at meetings. But the fact is that the committee helps us to manage. It's easier to deal with the committee than to a resolution from 150 owners or 10 owners even. It's very important that we can manage that process through. A committee, you can see, can have up to 12 members. Normally we try and keep it down to about 3 to 5 to 7. They must be lot owners, or they must hold a proxy for a lot owner. Committee members are elected at the AGM each year and hold office until the following year when a new committee is elected. And remember, under the legislation, there can only be one committee member from any one lot. So if you've got a husband and wife, they both can't join the committee. Only one of them can join the committee, and that's for an obvious reason. We don't want branch stacking and having people ganging up on others. So what's the committee's purpose? Well, an owners corporation committee administers the day-to-day activities, the running of the strata scheme in your unit, or your unit, an apartment or a townhouse or whatever. And as I said before, it is there to assist you as well as us to manage. So let's go into what we're looking at in more detail. An owners corporation committee assists and instructs the strata manager in the running of the owners corporation. A manager cannot tell the owners or the committee what to do. The committee must take advice from the manager and instruct the manager on what they wish to resolve in terms of whether it's the budget or maintenance or whatever it is. A member of a committee or subcommittee must act honestly and in good faith, and under the legislation, they must exercise due care and diligence. They can't take advantage for themselves as a position on the committee, and that's in favouring themselves with maintenance or something. And they must report to the owners corporation at every annual general meeting. Working together is a job that we all must do. The committee works together very closely with the manager, and we often can speak with the chairs of committees or entire committees every day. In fact, today I've spoken with a number of committees. I've organised committee meetings and taken instruction from a committee chair on something that needs to get done. There's a range of skills that are required when you're looking at effective committees. You have a range of professional skills like administration, accounting, legal, building and construction, maybe maintenance, technology stuff, people good with computers. They need practical skills as well as professional skills. They need organizational experience in mediation. They need confidence. You need to be able to compromise and understand how to make these decisions work for you. You need vision. You need to be able to think ahead. You need a fair degree of emotional intelligence. People need to have been around the block a few times and just understand how the world works. And key is the willingness of people to make decisions. They have to be prepared to say, this is what we're going to do. We've looked at the options. This is the direction we must take the owners corporation. And of course, company is very important. You've got to have the ability to withstand sometimes some pretty aggressive people and some pretty emotional discussions. I guess you'd boil that down to say, in general, any life skills that will assist in properly managing your owners corporation are valuable in people who join a committee. People might ask, well, how is a committee formed? Well, a committee is formed at every annual general meeting. The committee is elected, and they also, at that AGM, must elect a chair and a secretary of the owners corporation. The committee can have a maximum of 12 members, as I said earlier. Smaller number, up to 7 is usually good, even for large owners corporations. 12 is a bit unwieldy, but it's up to the owners. If they want to have 12 members, they can do that. If they have if it's a large owners corporation, members must be lot owners or hold a proxy, as we've talked about, and members have the authority to co-opt additional members. So you can use this presentation with other owners so that they can in turn talk to other owners that they might be particularly friends with and convince them that they should get involved. It's hard, you will have experienced yourself how hard it is to get people even to attend annual general meetings.
Yeah, it is.
A committee. So
Yeah.
all of this information will help people understand that they need to get involved in their owners corporation. Subcommittees. Committees can form subcommittees. They can invite other lot owners or proxies of lot owners to advise and assist. However, subcommittees and invited members cannot vote as part of the committee. So their job is quite literally to provide further information or, add additional skills, a skill set to the committee. And of course, you can remove people or replace people. So once a committee is formed at an AGM or a special general meeting, the committee can resolve to remove a committee member if they are particularly troublesome. Any questions on that so far?
No, pretty good, Greg. Thank you. Yeah.
The other key fact is that committee members under the legislation have immunity. If you serve on a committee, the law gives owners considerable protection from liability as long as you act properly in good faith. It is critically important that you understand the Owners Corporations Act, and that's why the enlarged version of this that you can study in your own time has a copy of the Owners Corporations Act, as well as a copy of the Owners Corporate Regulations and the model rules for all Victorian owners corporations. Also, if you act in good faith and in the reasonable belief that any act or omission of failure to do something was in the course of doing your job as a committee member under the Act, you're also protected under the Act from anybody wanting to sue you. You need to protect your immunity, however, and the legislation provides a couple of documents which you sign as committee members, and they get registered, and therefore that adds a further layer of protection and immunity from anybody deciding that they don't like you, they don't like the decision you made, they're very unhappy, and they decide they're going to take you to VCAT or something. So owners are pretty well protected. You must ensure that all decisions and resolutions are always recorded in the minutes of a meeting, and you have to submit the minutes of all committee meetings to the Owners Corporation as part of the committee's report at every AGM. And that document I was talking about is called the Instrument of Delegation and Immunity, and the Owners Corporation resolves that it approves the delegation to the committee of all the powers and functions of the Owners Corporation, except, and you can see here the things that you can't vote yourself into office. You don't have the power to remove the committee or the officer or the manager of the Owners Corporation. That has to be done at an annual general meeting or a special general meeting. So provided the committee exercises good faith and common sense, you're pretty well safe. We've got to look at the various people in charge of committees. So you have a chair. They have a role to do and powers to do that role. And you can see here on screen, you can see that, they conduct the meeting, they act on directions as we've discussed, and the chair, importantly, can make the casting vote if the voting is locked to break a deadlock. That's why we always try and make sure that we've got an uneven number of people, 5 or 7, for instance, on a committee, because then you very rarely are going to have a deadlock. You can see the sort of skills that a chair needs to see if you think they might have the right characteristics to be a chair. And you can see the results of having a successful chair means that your meetings are conducted in a way that encourage decision making, and they don't go down rabbit holes. They can break tasks down, and they liaise. Communication is important, critical in an owners corporation. You have another key role, and that's the secretary. And the secretary handles, obviously, all of the correspondence. The secretary can also convene an annual general meeting or a special general meeting. And frequently, in my company's case, I can act as secretary at a meeting, which sometimes makes sense if you've got a lot of complex issues to deal with and you keep those skills in-house. And you can see those skills here. They need to have a good sense of organisation and to be able to build good relationships, interpersonal skills. And of course, that sort of person makes sure that the meetings happen on time and that decisions are made and minuted, complaints are dealt with to the manager if necessary, and members are notified well in advance of forthcoming meetings. Any questions there?
No, all straightforward.
All right.
How long can the delegations form last for, Greg? Is that the entire committee term, or
each member of the committee signs the delegation form?
Yep.
And the chair signs on behalf of the committee as well.
Right.
So there are 2 documents, and they last for 12 months until the next AGM when the next committee is formed.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So here are the measures of a successful committee. A successful committee ensures that issues are discussed before the AGM so that everybody on the committee understands what we're talking about, so that you can make resolutions quickly and effectively at the AGM. AGMs should not become talk fests. The purpose of the meeting is to make resolutions and to minute those resolutions. That's what's required under the Act. If anybody starts talking about stuff that's completely off the agenda, a good chair will stop that immediately. We'll be talking about this offline if you wish. We are not talking about it now, folks. That sort of approach. And the result should be a happy and harmonious owners corporation with happy owners who are very happy that things are running along well. Committee members have certain roles as well. They all, and I won't spell them out, they revolve around communication, quite simply. And it's all about communicating with each other and the manager, as well as communicating with others. So we're talking about contractors as well in this case, residents, there may be tenants because a lot of investors are involved. A lot of units these days are tenanted, rented. Committees can often make contact with tenants and help them understand responsibilities and give them an opportunity to ask questions if needs be as well. That communication process is a circular one, and again, it basically involves getting back to us as managers and communicating within the committee and then externally to us so that we understand what decisions have been made or need to be made. And there you can see, Nikki, that the committee can delegate tasks to all sorts of, the individual members, the manager and the subcommittee. And the committee also should assist the manager. We can't do everything. Things like liaising with contractors, council, they take time. And if the committee can do that, it helps save our time. And we then don't have to bill the Owners Corporation for our additional time, which is outside of our management contract. Things like obtaining quotes, preparing scopes of work, letters, doing some research if needs be, even minor maintenance. Sometimes volunteers can do work in an Owners Corporation. Owners, it's their unit. They're entitled to do their own work if they wish. Complaint handling frequently comes through to us, and property inspections need to come through to us as well. But they can take responsibility for actioning it and taking it to us. So you can see the manager can assist, but our time is finite, and any work outside the scope of our contract will have to be on charge to the Owners Corporation. These are what they are, and I won't go through them, but they're called Schedule 2.2 charges. It is an hourly rate. It can be reduced or totally avoided if the committee can take on some of these jobs and they can save money for themselves. General meetings, again, you can see we've been through this a bit, but meetings can be called by a number of people, by resolution of the Owners Corporation if they work together, by the committee, and by a delegate of the Owners Corporation. And to prepare for them, you can read these in your own time, but you can see the key issues here. You've got to have a proxy form is always included, and typically you need to give Owners Corporations 3 days prior for the notice for the agenda, and typically 2 weeks notice for the agenda and any other documentation to reach owners. Any questions on that? That's a little bit of thought needs to be put into that, because there are some, very prescribed deadlines that need to be met.
But that'll be useful, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And here's the meeting procedure. Again, we won't labour the point, but listing members present, electing a chair, adopting minutes of the previous meeting. It's very basic meeting procedure. Conduct meetings, make resolutions and minute those resolutions, generate discussion. You've got to get people talking. Once they start opening up, often you'll find that things just get discussed that have been hidden sometimes, but it really helps. The agenda must be followed. I mentioned earlier that if somebody goes off the agenda, you need a strong chair to say, I'm sorry, we're not talking about that now, and avoid going down rabbit holes. It is so easy that somebody talks about something and they're unhappy with something, or somebody's parking their car in the wrong place, and then that goes on with somebody else saying somebody else is parking in the wrong place, and you can spend 15 minutes talking about absolutely nothing and wasting time. You've got to be prepared. Have all of the relevant documentation prepared, making sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak, and strive for resolutions. Resolutions are what meetings are all about. You need to be aware of the OH&S Act. That's key. Bullying and intimidation cannot be tolerated in any form, and it's a requirement for all members to be civil in their dealings with other owners and with us as well. Basic discussions, again, I don't need to labour that point, but this is something that you can take to your meetings, finding out who's good with gardening, who's good with technology. So in conclusion, you need to try and identify individual strengths and weaknesses when you're talking to your owners. You need to think about delegating tasks appropriately when you've formed a committee. You need to try and generate open discussion and listen to other people's points of view. You know, you've got to be generous with that time and not go in with you've already decided what you're going to do or what's going to happen. Other people have important points of view, and it is a democracy. Everyone has an opportunity to speak. Again, strive for resolutions, keep organised, contact the manager, either me or in your case, if you've got a manager of your owners corporation, contact them as well. And always be aware of the bottom line. What is the cost of every decision and how is it to be paid for? Because the bottom line is everything that an owners corporation does, if it costs money, it has to be paid for by all the owners. And as long as every decision is made, you know, openly and transparently, everybody should feel comfortable that they're protected under the legislation. So look, that's it. You might have experienced situations that you've found difficult or potentially dangerous issues for a committee member. I don't know. Would you have any comments or feedback or comments on this presentation and the style of presentation?
I can take this back to it's my self-committee, but I can take this back to my strata manager and demand he do more. So this is actually valuable information for me that I can use and to get other owners on board as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really well.
Yeah. And if you can fill out the feedback form that I sent through to you.
Sure.
You know, feedback is really important because, you know, your knowledge, as I always say to people, your knowledge helps build our knowledge.
Yeah.
And knowledge is power, and knowledge shared is power multiplied. So knowledge is incredibly powerful. It really does help us in our business if people come back to us and let us know what's going on in their owners' corporations, you know, or anything we can do to help you, for instance, further, if you need to go and build the knowledge and confidence of some of your owners. Aidan, any questions or comments on that?
No, you've pretty much covered it all. And yeah, like I said, I'll definitely read a bit more into it and see what I can make of it.
That's great. All right. Well, good luck. If you do need any assistance in the future, please get back to us. It's really important that we know that you've been able to form a committee, or if not, why. I'll be more than happy to help. I mean, it's our job is all about, a big part of our job is about education. I spend a lot of my personal and professional time educating people, educating other professionals in our industry, conveyancers, real estate agents, even occasionally lawyers sometimes need a bit of a reminder on certain things where owners corporations are concerned. So, and that's all about knowledge. So look, thank you very much for your time. We're always here in the office if you need to contact us. So look, thank you, and we'll leave it there.
Great. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Aidan. Bye now.
Bye.